Well, let's get started.
All right.
All meeting to order.
Ooh, do
Roll
we have
call.
do we have a sheet?
Do you need a roll call? You know all the ones.
Franklin,
Here.
Larry,
Here.
Ken Anderson,
Here.
Ken Visker, and Wayne Runnigan is not here.
I've always had.
Here, send it. I've always thought that roll call is good because we know who we are, but we assume everybody else does as well. And that's our chance to, to know who they are. When they see it in the paper or something, they say, oh, I remember him.
Doing it for the.
I'm sorry, go
reading of
ahead.
The public notice.
All right, please take notice that an application was received from the
I didn't get
following
it.
persons for variance of setback requirements. Diane Orle, in Spring Grove Township for variance of setback requirements to reduce side yard setbacks in an ag district to place a solar array. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room, City of Caledonia, at 6 p.m. on Thursday, August 26th. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department or emailed and must be received by Tuesday, August 17th of 2021. Comments in regard to the petition received by this date will be part of the public record and will be made available for review by the Board of Adjustment prior to the meeting. This was advertised on August 11th of 2021.
Diane, do you want to do you have anything you want to add to the application, comments, or?
You can come forward if you want. Well, we need you kind of up here for the mic purposes if there's anything. Any corrections to the staff report or any additional comments?
Yeah.
I really don't have anything to add. They're really good job of sending out the picture and where we want to put it. And our neighbors. Talk in person to one of them, and the other ones just know me. So on the property or the environment. I'm just thinking it's a good thing to have some reliance on electricity instead of
And if I remember right, you're putting up solar panels near the south property line.
the south end, right, and that borders Lois Crucius, and her cousin farms it, so I talked to her and I talked to her cousin, and neither of them really had a problem with it at all.
Yeah, we received no comments, or there's none in your packets, and I didn't receive anything late.
Okay. Any questions for Diane from the board members? Okay. There's no other public here, so we may as well move on. Any other discussion that we have? Thank you for, we'll move on with our business. Any comments or questions that you have bring up on this?
I think it's a great idea.
And my thought too.
I'd like to look at it. That's just personal. Do that. Is that right? Yeah, it looks like it's quite a nice operation.
I have no objection.
Okay. Well, let's move on then. We have to go through the findings, I guess. Can we do it as simple we did last time? I think they're pretty straightforward, unless we want to just
I guess
waiver them. We can have
I guess what I was doing was reading them individually, but then you guys can vote
as a package,
Body, yeah.
the whole body. That's what I was thinking.
Yep. So one, that the variance request is in harmony with the intent and purpose of official controls. Analysis says that the Houston County zoning ordinance identifies that we should encourage solar to conserve energy and identify inadequate access to direct sunlight as a practical difficulty.
Okay.
So we
Just, why don't you just
vote on each
So,
one,
yeah, so then you guys, we'll just do that like a
like they did
uniform
as,
group vote, yeah.
yeah.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion
Yes.
carried.
2, that there are practical difficulties in complying with the official controls and the proposed use of the property is reasonable. Economic considerations alone do not constitute practical difficulties. Analysis is that the topography makes the south boundary the best southern exposure and unobstructed view. The array must also be located within 200 meters of the dwelling, and bordering property to the south is currently tillable.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
Mhm.
All in favor of accepting that statement, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that one is approved.
3, the variance request is due to special conditions or circumstances unique to the property and not created by the property owner. Analysis is that the south property line is the highest ground on this parcel and contains an unobstructed view. While there are other obstacles to work around, such as building, shading, and the septic system, the elevation of this location and lack of tree cover are really the prime reasons for locating the array here.
Any other discussion on that? All in favor of accepting staff analysis, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
4, that the variance cannot be alleviated by a reasonable method other than a variance, and the minimum variance which would alleviate the practical difficulty is sought. Analysis is that moving the array away from the property line or relocating it will influence the productivity to the point that it will not be reasonable to take on the product or project.
All in favor of accepting staff analysis, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
5, that the variance will not alter the essential character of the locality nor substantially impair property values or the public health, safety, or welfare in the vicinity. Analysis says that solar arrays are becoming very popular across the country or county. It will not affect the essential character of the locality or impair property values, public health, safety, or welfare of those in the vicinity.
Discussion? All in favor of accepting the staff analysis, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, come on.
6, that the request is not a use variance and shall not have the effect of allowing any use that is not allowed in the zoning district, permit a lower degree of flood protection than the regulatory flood protection elevation, or permit standards lower than those required by state law. Analysis says that this is an area variance and there's no floodplain in the vicinity of this proposal.
All in favor of the staff analysis, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now, do we need a motion to accept all the findings? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll make a motion. We accept the finding as presented.
I'll second that.
motion made and seconded to accept the findings as presented. All in favor, what? Any other discussion first? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we need a motion on a variance.
I'll make that motion. You want it as read here, as stated in here?
If that's what you
Variance
guys
of
are.
setback requirements to reduce side yard setbacks in agricultural district to place a solar array. You want the section 2?
Nope, that's fine. So it's
I'll second that.
a motion to grant a 40-foot variance to reduce the 50-foot property line setback.
Okay, we have a motion by Franklin, a second by Larry to grant the setback variance. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, that takes care of that one, doesn't it? Thank you.
Friend, everybody will have that.
Good idea.
Hope for some sunshine.
I thought about that. No, I guess we gotta wait a little bit.
Yeah.
We have,
boy.
well, what's the next one?
That's not cheap, is it? What's her name?
Oh, we can
Diane?
do our minutes then.
Yeah.
Not cheap, is it?
A little aside note that invested in Cascade last year and his
He would be happy.
It might-
Yes.
Good,
Yeah.
good,
it might
good.
be cold.
What, do they give you a expected payback time?
It kind of depends. Where I do using it, like I'm very frugal right now. with like- And
Yeah, we got some time.
if we just keep using it and the grandchildren come over and winters will probably, within 5 or 10 years.
Okay, well, do you generate more than you use, and then it goes back to the,
Yes.
then you get,
Then I-
compensated for that.
Compensation,
ah,
right. So the Viking Electric, says, look at it as an investment.
yeah, huh?
It'll improve the value of your property, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, that would be interesting to buy a place, with something like that, yeah.
And I think we're all supposed to help each other. Should there ever be such a situation and my neighbor doesn't have heat? Come on.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's
Their
true.
own food.
And their own beer, right?
Right.
I got a neighbor that put one in, he gets in the summertime between $950 back. But he got a grant for his, so it didn't cost him nothing.
Really? What's he put it on a barn or
If
something?
you know how to do this stuff, I'm not, I'm too busy, I guess, to check into it.
Well, I like the 26% tax rebate. they give you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For the installation?
Right?
Yep.
26, wow, that's interesting.
No.
I got a big barn roof.
There you are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
We have the minutes from last meeting. We may as well do that. We got some.
Sure.
Need a motion to accept the minutes. Motion by Kenny Visser. Second by Franklin. Is there any discussion, any corrections or additions anyone seen?
Nay.
Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. So now we got the minutes done.
We're just clipping along here. aren't we?
Don't know if there's anything else. Is there any other business that we need to take care of that we,
I don't think so.
we only got about 5-6 minutes, so it wouldn't be something long.
No, I mean, are you guys fine? I suppose harvest will start here, but are you fine continuing to meet a little earlier?
I have no trouble with it here.
Okay.
but I,
It's better for me.
actually, it's kind of nice. Then you're not so late.
Yeah, and then I guess as long as we continue to have the Crescent subdivision ones, we might put Board of Adjustment second, just.
Yep.
Cause I guess they'll probably tend to be our longer hearings, if that is also okay with you guys.
Are there more coming?
There will be another one in October, and I've gotten a couple other inquiries, but no applications.
You see, they're kind of just not very controversial or other than this one we got later. I mean, kind of, whatever.
Yeah, I think we have possibly 4 for next month now, but none of them are actually, really, Crescent knows they're supposed to see them. Outside of,
Horse thief?
no, none of them are for up on average, so far anyway.
What was Greg talking about? I couldn't understand him. They were talking about the planning board having a meeting, or what was he talking about?
So the land use plan was up for renewal in 2018, I think, and so they
Okay.
started looking at it over the last, in 2019, I believe we were gonna try to write it ourselves. I guess I wasn't really too involved with it, but you can get a consulting firm to do it for you, but you kind of get a generic result. And so they had a number of different committees to look at each of the different areas, and I think most of them had met and maybe even started drafting their respective area. And then with COVID, things kind of fell apart. And I believe Jeff was the administrator here. I think he was kind of heading it up. So then when that position got eliminated, it kind of just got off of people's, or out of people's minds. And so they're looking at like reducing setbacks or part of that, the land use plan comes first, and then we change the ordinance, I guess, to reflect whatever's decided in there. And so that's what they're looking to do. But I think that started in a committee kind of outside of our office. And I don't really know who would be the one involved in, because like I said, I think Jeff was the one kind of spearheading that. So I don't know at this point now, without an administrator, who, if it would come back to our office, right, or to kind of oversee it. And so they're looking at putting those committees together again and kind of getting that finalized. So I don't know, none of you guys sat on those?
Larry and I was on that one, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Or maybe longer than that. I don't know how many years ago it was.
yeah.
From my understanding, it didn't really change much back then in that either, or,
Well, I don't know if they changed much or not, because they had public hearing on it, and then I don't remember.
I'm trying to think of which one I'm thinking of here. I remember I was on one committee while I was still zoning administrator in La Crescent.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I think that was the one where we was putting together ideas, and each township was represented, had a representative.
yeah, and when we did some of the county ones, I was reluctant to vote or express a lot because I wasn't going to be controlled by them. And I don't like to have people that, if you're not being controlled by that ordinance, you shouldn't be writing it. We should tell our politicians that too, shouldn't we?
But we didn't actually write any when we
No.
had that. We were making recommendations.
Yeah,
Of course, it has to go through the,
yeah, so that process will take public hearings and all that jazz when we get. to
well,
that.
then there's always that issue, you get too many people together.
yeah, you don't get anything accomplished.
Well, but I mean, you have
Oh.
published,
Public hearings.
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, I
have to be
know.
Open to the public if you
Yeah.
get more than, especially county board members, elected officials.
yeah.
Well, then it goes to the commissioners for final approval after a public
Right.
hearing.
Yeah.
Need the
So
Hans?
that's what they were talking
Yeah,
about.
that's
but
fine.
Oh, well, then we can
we
get
Very
can-
good, Joe.
Yeah.
So we may as well get started on this next hearing. Right along.
You guys or?
No, you
You
sit
can
there,
come up to,
do that.
Yeah, eventually, you just need you up here for the mics.
Right.
Hi, guys.
okay, go ahead.
Please take notice that an application was received from the following persons for a variance of setback requirements. Greg and Jill Hahn in Cricket Creek Township for variance to reduce setback to an existing feedlot. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room in Caledonia at 6:20 on Thursday, August 26th. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department or emailed and must be received by Tuesday, August 17th of 2021. Comments in regard to the petition received by this date will be part of the public record and will be made available for review by the Board of Adjustment prior to the meeting. This was advertised on August 11th of 2021.
And I guess the next step in our process is the questions, if you have any comments that you would like to clarify or on your
I
application.
guess, unless you guys had any questions.
Okay, well, any questions from members here? If I follow, your variance is from an existing feedlot, right? That's what you're requesting.
Was it aerial?
I just use an aerial to measure it because I don't know that you had stakes in the ground yet for the house. And so that is actually a little bit of, it has a little cushion in it.
Okay.
Yes.
I guess my bigger question is, there's a whole bunch of other houses that are within that radius anyway.
Right.
So it doesn't really change anything for that feedlot,
No,
is my thought.
I did, I think in your packets, because the feedlot advisory committee is supposed to look at every
Right.
feedlot proposal. So I did hear back from 4 of the members. Bob Conway emailed that he was concerned with the risk of how close they were to the feedlot, but I'm not sure. I don't know that I included a distance, so maybe he misread that, but, and then how close they are to the floodplain. With the past 10 years of over annual flood amounts, my concern is that how it may affect their new basement and septic system. I guess just a side note is because of the location, they're just doing a slab on grade. And then there was a phone call from Greg Myrie. He didn't have any concerns with the proposal. Jim Weiser had no concerns with the feedlot setback. And then Ed Hamel was the same. They all said it was actually fairly, and it is a fairly minimal setback.
But when you said some kind of a cushion with feet, what are you saying?
So actually, when I measure it out based upon the drawing that Jill and I did that day, I think you would only need 120 foot variance. And
No,
we're
I
asking
thought
for
it was less than that
160.
before. Right.
Anyone have any concerns, questions for them?
160 feet is more than
Uh,
adequate.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
yes.
Given the fact that half a Freeburg is within that, and this is kind of like the one we did with jumpers, it had no effect on his.
Well, I mean, there's so many
Feedlot.
other houses
Right.
right in that same area there. The
It would have no
feedlot isn't
effect on
gonna
the
be,
feedlot at all,
to me, it's not, this new one house isn't gonna affect that feedlot much at all.
not at all. Because
Because
everybody else-
there's probably what, half a dozen other houses that are closer?
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I didn't look that close, but
Right, yeah.
it's just a guess. So if they want to do something with the feedlot expansion, they're gonna have to deal with a lot of houses.
What if we wanted to put one? Eli,
You would have to have a variance, I'm sure. Number one, part of it is the distance between feedlots too. I believe there's a setback on between feedlots. Yeah,
Mostly to dwellings. So it's a reciprocal rule. And so it's the same boat where you'd have to ask for a variance. And it would be the closest house, I guess.
what distance is that?
To the closest house, I guess I'm not sure what it would be. And I don't know where you're proposing your feedlot.
Yeah,
So we couldn't utilize the barn.
she's not saying that, but that's not the issue for now, so let's
No.
just do the feedlot variance.
So I just want to
You can ask that.
get prepared.
I'm just guessing and looking at the aerial maps, it looks like that may have been pastured.
Next year. And there was an old house out
Okay,
there, cornfield.
well, I saw it was like a circular thing, and that was probably the corn
That
field.
was cornfield.
Okay,
They're kind of limited in where they're proposing the quarter line basically goes through the dwelling and the
oh,
shed. And so if they can't move it north to, otherwise it'll not meet the density limitation. And if they move it south, they're kind of dealing
In the
with
floodplain.
floodplain.
Yeah.
So
no, I could see that. I didn't know about the next, the quarter. I didn't look at that part, but. Okay. Anyone else have questions for the applicants? We'll move on. Do the findings. I think that's where we are at. I don't think anyone's got any other questions for us.
So One is that the variance request is in harmony with the intent and purpose of official controls. Analysis says that this meets the density control system put in place by the comp plan and the zoning ordinance.
Okay, any questions? All in favor of the staff analysis, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, go on.
Two, that there are practical difficulties in complying with the official controls and the proposed use of the property is reasonable. Economic considerations alone do not constitute practical difficulties. Analysis is that there are multiple factors that come into play for the site. In order to meet the density limitation requirement, the proposed dwelling must stay south or east of the northeast quarter. This proposal is right on the quarter line and therefore cannot move north at all. Moving the proposal to the east will impact tillable acreage and possibly require floodplain considerations, while pushing it to the south brings in floodplain and possibly shoreline concerns. There's no way to meet the feedlot setback and build within the existing farmstead location.
Okay, everyone, if any discussion? All in favor of staff analysis, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carried. Go ahead.
Three, that the variance request is due to special conditions or circumstances unique to the property and not created by the property owner. Floodplain encompasses much of the 102 acre property. There are areas to build adjacent to County 249 and County 24, but slopes have greater impact at those sites.
Discussion? All in favor of staff analysis, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Four, that the variance cannot be alleviated by a reasonable method other than a variance, and the minimum variance which would alleviate the practical difficulties sought. Analysis is that they would like to utilize an existing farmstead and avoid disrupting the tillable ground. The trade-off is building within the feedlot setback area. Buildings in other areas will require more extensive erosion control methods and creative site planning.
Any discussion? I just think it'd be appropriate to note there are a lot of other houses within that feedlot setback area. All in favor of staff analysis, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, go on.
Five, the variance will not alter the essential character of the locality nor substantially impair property values or the public health, safety, or welfare in the vicinity. Analysis is that the proposal is consistent with other sites within the Freeburg community and the whole community lies within the setback area. A farm dwelling will not impair property values, public health, safety, or welfare for those in the vicinity.
Okay, any comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor of staff analysis, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, go ahead.
Six, that the request is not a variance and shall not have the effect of allowing any use that is not allowed in the zoning district, permit a lower degree of flood protection than the regulatory flood protection elevation, or permit standards lower than those required by state law. This is an area variance. The DNR recently provided updated models that drop the base flood elevations and remove the site from floodplain. Therefore, this request will not permit standards that follow state law.
Any comments, questions? All in favor of staff analysis, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Need a motion to approve the findings?
So moved.
Motion by Kenny.
I'll
Visca,
second it.
Kenny by Larry, got a second by Larry. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And we need a motion to grant a variance of 160 feet is what you're proposing. That gives you a little flexibility.
I move we grant a variance of 160 feet for a proposed dwelling to meet the required 1,320-foot setback from a registered feedlot for the township.
Okay, we have a motion by Kenny Viscar. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Larry. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Take care of it, I believe.
Granted. You're good. We'll build a house.
Where the price goes up.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Hard on a marriage. Just want to warn you.
I think if I stand in the shed, he stays on the house.
I got the barn.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'll
How are you feeling, Franklin?
I'm getting better. I'll make it.
You're driving by yourself today?
Oh, yeah. I got a guardian angel watching over.
Well, you better be careful because I was warned Sunday at the fair.
Well, sometimes you can't believe everything.
True, true.
Well, you take care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you guys very much.
I didn't say anything on that one. That's why I didn't say anything.
It's okay.
He's my second cousin.
I don't know if you did.
Oh.
These, they were just, I had them printed out last time. They were the slides that he had.
They're in the-
but
So I don't-
larger, so
why
you
if
can
there
maybe
was any
choose if you want.
discussion, then
That's up there.
Yeah, but.
I figured they would.
I'm just too concerned about.
Four slides total.
This isn't this.
Site- It's a site plan.
I just had them from last time, so I figured I was in the back, but yeah. they're
They're
all in
just
your
large
packet as well.
of what
Yeah,
we
they're
have
just-
in the packet, I believe.
Yep.
All right, there. There you go. Here. Yeah, I guess. I guess. Well, I got one of them. You got one of them. These, I got one of these.
Share.
Yeah.
We're sharing today.
It's easy to share here.
Well, you got one of them.
I got one of those, but
Yeah, well, here, well,
Maybe,
whatever.
yeah, maybe I only had two sets too, I don't.
5 minutes or so.
Mhm.
Move on, so. I don't think is there any other business that we need to take care of? We got the minutes taken care of
think
already,
so.
and I don't know of anything else that would be.
I don't have anything for you.
We talked about hours already.
I hear my favorite Irishman.
Sure.
Irishman walks out of the bar.
Yep.
That's my favorite Irishman. The beauty of it is that it always takes just
Yeah,
a moment for you to,
yeah,
for people to catch
that's good.
you.
Dairy farmers will be chopping corn silage.
Would be not surprised. I don't think so.
When the guy I
We're
chopped
gonna
for
be-
called already.
Problem is you get very far away from this area.
I know we're located.
Yeah, we aren't getting this close. My brothers in the end of North Dakota,
They ain't got nothing, do
they got about a quarter. They got news that were fair. It's most really bad in 3 years.
they? I got a nephew that lived. He said they didn't have any snow last winter at all. And I thought you said they had weeks ago.
There, yeah, just was just maybe just I think just harvested the wheat because the insurance company didn't really harvest.
Yeah, to collect, yeah.
4 bushels to the acre.
Don't even pay for going across the goal.
The insurance company thought it was 7. Well, why bother on
Yeah.
that little bit?
Yeah.
But, well, that's all. Been hard to get the heads off.
Today, some guy from the University of Minnesota was recommending that where these areas we're talking. The open roads up and cut it with heat line and base.
I know I've heard some places are cutting the beams,
Oh, I see.
chopping that now. They're probably hard to get clods on them.
Around the area we're getting.
I haven't seen any saying running into a lot more than I thought they would. The white mold and stuff like that.
White mold hurts you more than a sudden death this late in the year.
So he was surprised that the white mold was still in the place.
Yeah. See, we like
They
that.
all come with that one rain we got in June.
Blew the corn down, or not corn, the beans down. Yeah. And then it's worse on narrow roads than the dirt.
Well, I always thought they're-
92. And that's-
A variance to allow new dwellings on lots that are not buildable lots is defined by the ordinance. A variance to reduce the setback required from a public road. A variance to allow the top of bluff. A variance to minimum sewage treatment and disposal area standards, and a variance to minimum side yard setbacks. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room in Caledonia at 6:40 PM on Thursday, August 26th of 2021. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department or emailed and must be received by Tuesday, August 17th of 2021. Comments in regard to the petition received by the state will be part of the public record and will be made available for review by the Board of Adjustment prior to the meeting. This was advertised on August 11th of 2021.
Did you have any comments from the public that came to you?
No, there was nothing included in your packet and I had not received anything
Okay.
since then.
Just thought I'd ask that right away. I guess I'll turn it over to you then.
I was here last time, Brian from Johnson Schofield Land Surveying. I didn't think we'd have to redo the presentation or anything from what we did last time, so. Since that time, one additional thing in the packet was the septic analysis from Jake Weiser Septic. Just demonstrating it is feasible to build a septic system on this size of a lot, so. That was one of the sticking points that we had, why the meeting was tabled last time, was that feasibility. So when we left off, you were gonna take an opportunity to consult some professionals, your county engineer, your county attorney, regarding the property, so. I'm just interested to hear what you found out there and here to answer questions.
Any of the, I mean, I talked with our attorney
Mhm.
and mostly just kind of, we have to make our decision on our own. I mean, there's no guidance. We have to have reasons, one way or the other. And that's about all I really got out of that.
Yeah, and I talked to him as well. I guess my thoughts are how far do you bend the requirements?
Well, that was kind of my part of it too. And it's kind of like at some point. Just, I'm struggling with that.
Yeah, I was trying to think of, because he said we should, look at the findings and see how well, I guess, how well they match the requirements. I'm struggling with, do we need to go over the findings again, or do we?
Did we go that far last time or not?
I don't believe we got that.
No,
far.
we
I
Oh,
don't
did
think
we?
we did. I
So
think
we'll
we
need to go
tabled
over
before we
findings.
did that.
Okay, we should probably do that and then discuss it, or discuss them as we go through. Huh?
Well, I think we need to discuss each one a little as we go through.
Yeah,
this one.
yeah, I agree.
I think right now, if- other than that, we have any questions? I forget the name.
It's Brian.
Brian.
Just on the whole, how far is that? That it's the minimum variance to alleviate the problem. And so, for how far you need to actually bend, it's if it meets the criteria, we're giving the minimum amount to it in order to do what we want to do here. So I guess it's not a question of, is there a limit to how far you go to grant a variance? Does the criteria warrant it? So when you go through the findings, I guess, the way I would approach it is if it meets the criteria, then there's a need for a variance and there's a justification for a variance, regardless of how far you're going. Because we are just trying to accomplish what we're doing here, to the minimum degree needed
Yeah.
to actually build a house there.
And that was one of the things we talked to Sam, our attorney, about. That is so subjective to the person. I look at it, I say, well, why do they have a 24% grade? And I believe that is for erosion, aesthetics, the construction of the house, the building actually staying, how steep can you get? And I suppose you can always put deep concrete or footings in, but at some point there's a limit to how far that should go. And that's subjective to each person to a great extent. I don't know that we have the ordinances, and it says you have to have 24% grade over for, what is it? I think 80%, 90% of the required
It
area.
has to be less than 24%.
Yes. And I look at that and I think there isn't any. But they don't say why do you have 24%? That's up to each person. That's, like I said, is it erosion? Is it aesthetics? Is it, I don't know. So I think with that in mind, we should do the findings, huh?
We'll have to go through that. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll add to, he said, Jake Weezer submitted a packet in regards to the
Yeah.
septic system feasibility. And I don't know if you know, on 62, the applicants also submitted some additional comments as well.
All the red?
It was actually in the form of an
Oh,
email on
there was
page
a letter.
62.
Yes.
Okay.
I read that one too.
Yeah, just to make sure you guys.
Um,
know about that.
And that might be, so that's aware, maybe it would be worthwhile reading it, so go into the record.
Okay,
Yeah,
what
I can do
pa-
that.
what page is that?
62. So this was an email
Upper right corner?
from back in July from Karen to myself. And actually Brian was on that as well. It says, I wonder if it would help the zoning board know that Tracy and I were planning to build a retirement home on that lot and move back to the Crescent. Please inform them that Eden Management is our family limited partnership and not a big corporate developer. We just want to use that lot that we purchased and have paid taxes on for many years. I don't know if the board knows that this is not a new development and that many lots have been already built in this development with no problems. I previously owned both the homes just to the south of this lot in this development, so I know septic will fit on the lot and get approved. It has to be a mounted system. I have also had Jake Weezer review the lot, and he said that there would be no problem with putting septic on the lot. The board may have to look at these lots differently than they would for approval of the brand new subdivision, but please note that these lots were already approved and platted in 1979. It is very unjust to now 40 years later expect these lots to conform to the new more stringent requirements, and all the while for 40 years taxing these lots as buildable real estate. I just want the board to be aware of these more personal views since I will not be in attendance at the meeting. Thanks, Kern, Jane, and Ken. So just so you're aware of that. Otherwise, I reorganized some things in the report, but it pretty much was all the same material as last time. Anything in red was an addition.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. What'd you say?
It was mostly the submissions from the applicant that were new.
Mhm.
I reorganized the report a little bit, but I highlighted anything I actually added in red.
Okay,
So
good.
most of it was just.
Any other questions for Brian? From the board members? I guess then the next one would be any from members of the public wish to make comments.
Would you mind coming, just because of our mics? We kind of need you closer up here, so. Yeah. That way we can hear you in the recordings.
I'm John Slidak. I own a lot 2 doors down that I'll be coming to you in about 2 months to make a similar request, and I'll forward you the plan section. I would support this variance for the reasons that Mr. Bennett had mentioned. These have been approved for decades, and people who have been a long time paying taxes as they were.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. When you bought this lot, did somebody tell you, who told you they were buildable? Did the township or the realtor, or when you purchased your lot?
Yeah, they were surrounded by, if you go up on the ridge, there's homes all around the lots that we have. And they're very similar in grade and similar in.
County approved them as buildable.
The
The county approved the plat.
The county board or the county zoning?
No, the township did.
Oh, the township. Well, but,
This is the
but
county never-
you had to be at least as strict as the county.
No,
Yes. Oh,
but
yeah.
their zoning has changed dramatically. since that
Yeah.
time.
But at the
Yes.
time,
At the
they were
time,
approved
Well, I
as
was talking
buildable
about
lots
the
at the
time
time.
he purchased his lot, who told him they were buildable. I know Larry said they were the township that said that at that time. Correct, Larry?
yeah,
I don't know that. They went through, they had a builder. There was a process. I was a zoning minister. No, I wasn't even then. I was just on the board. So I was really not involved. So this is not personal to me. Just,
I guess I get to add that in the plat, there are four outlots actually mapped on there, and outlots are considered to not be buildable. So this is not labeled as an outlot. If that tells you anything, I guess, within the plat.
Just curious.
the assessor office would have them listed as buildable lots. I mean, I know that. Any other Board members got questions before we go? Anything else that you can add or have to add or for our consideration?
I don't think so. If you guys have reviewed the packets, I guess anything additional I had was in there.
Okay.
He included some size, and so I did, like the township road, actually, they asked for a 15-foot setback. The most we could go is 12 because we can't encroach on the right of way any more than 20 feet, but that doesn't, it's a 3-foot difference.
Yep.
So I don't know that would make a huge impact to them. He did provide
Well,
me
but then it
some,
would be illegal. We can't authorize that setback then. Isn't that true?
I guess I was
Up
just
to the
reducing
right-
the
the
request to
33
make it
feet.
compliant with
The right of way.
the right of way
Yeah,
rule.
she changed it so it is
Yeah.
approvable.
Okay, but I'm guessing it was a minimum when it was requested at what, 15? And it can only be 12. So it truly wasn't the minimum. It can go with 12.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the 15 came from on the sides. I think it was,
Well, is that some of the stuff that Aaron
Um,
had put together for that general?
it's possible, because.
I
Because I'm
think
thinking that's where it
some,
came from.
some variance language.
In the site plan,
I think that's one of the first ones that,
I think they identified in the site plan that I thought that they would build up, or on page 57, it's small, but there's a line drawn here at 50 feet, and they just show the house at that point. And so that's where I took the original 15-foot request from. But like I said, it would actually have to be but right of way requirement. And so it just pushes them back or keeps them away from the road. an additional
and the
50 feet.
15 foot was what Aaron had put in his proposal.
He left them generic.
Yeah, when I'm looking at what was recommended after they get back from the motion, it was the
That
15
was,
foot
but that was for all of it.
for all.
Oh,
of
for
them.
all of them? Okay,
Yeah.
so that was,
And so he was in error on that one too. then.
yeah, I suppose. Because I would assume
And that's
it's-
probably where you picked
That's
it up.
that's what
Yeah.
Aaron just followed what Aaron.
I think that's where that
Okay.
came from,
Yeah,
is what I would guess.
So what are we talking here?
It'll
For the
be,
setback?
the variance,
so,
for the road setback would only be 12 feet.
yeah, it would only be 12 feet.
I just wanted to point one more thing out if I could. I just wanted to. They're listed on page 8, so. First one, just to summarize it, they have to have an approved septic design by a professional.
Yep.
They have to abide by the distance between well and septic. If you're worried about erosion control and runoff and things like that, they have to have a professional engineer design a site plan which gets approved by. So if the county doesn't agree with it, they're not gonna give them the building permit, they have to approve it. And that site plan will address erosion control, water runoff, stability of the site. Almost all of these are gonna have retaining walls. Substantial, either poured wall or the large concrete load-bearing retaining walls, so not just a block in place ones you see falling down all over the place. It's a structural design wall. So just wanted to point those out, that those safeguards are in place, that they have to abide by.
And I thought it was interesting too, when I pulled the covenant, a lot of the items that we're addressing in our conditions were actually addressed in the covenant as well. And that's on page
Yeah.
22 of your packet. I don't know. I included it for your guys' reference, but
I read through quite a bit of it, and I said it also expired after 40 years.
oh, I didn't look at the date, I guess, in which it was drawn up. And I don't know if there is a more recent one.
I mean, its duration was 40 years. Each of these covenants. And then it can be renewed for 5, but that's, you know, contingent on the landowners of that group doing that. Okay.
Yeah, I think aside from that, I threw some numbers in for the septic system. It's hard without having an actual soils work done and knowing how many bedrooms. It's hard to say exactly what the size of the system will be. But I guess when you're looking, you can put a system within a smaller size limit. You just it requires more pre-treatment, and it becomes a more expensive system. And so there is options on smaller sites to be able to accommodate those too.
So when they apply for a building permit, do they lay out how many bedrooms it is and so on in there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, and then we will, in a normal year, we will not issue a building permit without a septic permit approval.
Any other comments, questions? Ready to go into the findings?
Sure.
And I think when we do this, I think we'll do a roll call on each one of them.
We did
Yep.
old style. Okay. So number 1, the variance request is in harmony with the intent and purpose of official controls. Staff analysis is that the comp plan sets forth a strategy of balancing private incentives with protection of the public good, allowing development on these existing lots with reduced standards coupled with specific attention to challenges posed by the ground slopes strikes such a balance. Ken Anderson.
No, I guess I, oh, go
Time
ahead.
out.
You want to comment or?
Yeah, I just have to respond to the fact that these people were paying taxes on a buildable lot. Houston County has a long history of grandfathering in properties and buildings when zoning changes or gets more restrictive. And I see this as something that we have a history of doing with all kinds of properties and different situations. To grandfather in those properties, but at the same time, in this case, making them subject to more restrictive conditions. So to not grandfather them or to disapprove them because they don't meet today's standards seems unfair to the owners. And given the restrictions that are proposed here, I see this as a fair way to satisfy homeowners who have paid taxes over the years, and also to honor the practice of grandfathering in previous developments and previous situations.
So in essence, what you're saying is we should relax our zoning ordinance in the county and make it a lot easier for the people who live in the county.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's nothing like what I'm saying.
Okay. Anyone else comments before we go on with the vote?
Go ahead.
You were, for mine, I will say no. I think that there are too many problems with this building lot size and everything like that. And the area that will be the most affected by it is the township road if there's problems. And there are some over 40 houses up there, and that's the only road in. There is no other in or out to that property up there.
I thought there was didn't you mention, Larry, that there was another?
Never went
was
through.
Completed.
Oh,
There's a house on the end.
Oh, so, okay. So that one there can't be, okay.
Larry, did you find that? Or
I disagree as well. I feel bad for the property owners. I don't know the remedy to that. But there is, we have a responsibility to use our judgment. And I think of, you know, you say, well, we can do this, but we can, you know. I think of, where's that quarry we had lately? They did that within the boundaries, but they dug that out so much that it's falling away and it's affecting the neighbor's property.
Yep.
They assured us they could do everything right. And it's our responsibility, and I just think these ordinances were put in for a reason, and we can't go back to everyone and justify it. I think our job is, if there's some differences that are reasonable, but the slope is overall, it's supposed to be no more than greater than 24. It's 33 overall. It's bluff land. It's setback from the road. So I'm not gonna, I disagree with that being, I vote no.
Franklin,
Well, I'm going to vote yes, because if I vote no against staff analysis, I'm telling the staff that they don't know what they're doing, in my opinion. You can still vote that way and vote different on the motion.
That's not what the attorney said. You gotta build your case from right here.
Well, that's what I felt
You
too.
can't let everything go and then get the end and say, by the way, we're not gonna do it.
That's-
Ken Visker,
Yes.
And either way, you need 3 votes to pass it. I don't even know if it's worth need. We can't, if, I suppose we should go through the rest of them, but
I
So
think
if
so,
any
yeah.
of these
either
fail,
any fail, we
it
can't,
all fails,
they all fail.
and we've already failed one.
We've already failed one.
So we're done here.
As far as I see it, there's no need to go on. But maybe someone else thinks different.
Are we, when we approved the one last month, are we setting the county up for a possible lawsuit because we approved that one? And then we denying the next one, we denied that, we approved that one because it was not buildable, too much of a slope, et cetera, et cetera. Now are if we're gonna disapprove this one, are we not playing the same playing field? I'm asking.
Yeah, I know, I follow what you're saying. Yeah, I question some of it myself on that one too. But that was a 2-acre lot, I believe, not a half or 6/10 of an acre lot. The township road, in my opinion, wasn't any factor on it.
Where are we on this? I mean, did
2-2 is a failure.
2-2 is a failure?
So as far as if
Is
this
there-
is done,
Is there value in going through the rest of them or not?
No.
I guess I'm thinking, if this is taken to the next level,
and that
are they gonna look at are they gonna say,
it probably, like you say, it probably, maybe we should go on.
for the record.
yeah,
So what you're telling me is if I vote yes to agree with staff analysis, I have to vote on a motion to grant or deny a variance? Is that what
No.
you're telling me?
You can have other reasons than what this particular one says.
Okay, just
Either way.
clarifying it, that's all.
I mean, basically what I got from talking with the attorney, I had to have a reason.
yeah.
Feel comfortable with it. for my vote.
We're talking on staff of the houses or a motion
on
to
all of
deny
this.
or any of it.
Any of these things, we should have a reason.
I would ask all of us, what would we do if we had bought this lot, paid taxes on it for all this time, and under the understanding that it was buildable, and then we come to this hearing and we're denied the right to do so? How many of us would be calling our lawyers? You know,
That's, so you're saying that whatever they built, whatever they developed, we gotta give it an okay.
no,
It could
that's,
get- well,
that's
that's
not what,
you-
that's not what they're
That's what you,
asking.
that's what you just said. If this has got a 90-degree level and they sold it to them, their sympathies are with the buyer and we should okay it. There becomes a point where you say, this is beyond reasonable.
There are conditions that are a part of this. None of us are engineers, none of us are plumbers, none of us put in septic systems. We don't build concrete walls. I don't think we can make those decisions as board members. We have to leave that to the professionals. And there are conditions here that require professionals to be involved in the building process, as is the zoning department. If we have confidence, like you say, Franklin, in the zoning department, the conditions that the zoning department has put on these lots, building and the site work and all that sort of thing, I'm satisfied with that, particularly given the fact that I think as a county, we have an obligation to these homeowners for what we've promised them and told them for 50 years, 40 years. That's my issue. Is I don't know that the county has the right to simply deny them what we've assured them all these years.
Then why are we doing this?
Well, because we've changed the zoning ordinance.
Then why are we going through this if we don't have a right to deny it?
Well, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
We're making that decision.
Right.
And you're saying you don't think we have a right to do that.
I'm thinking that's wrong.
Well,
I'm saying that's wrong.
Let's go on and move on to the second one. And
Works for me.
Number 2, there are practical difficulties in complying with official controls and the proposed use of the property is reasonable. Economic considerations alone do not constitute practical difficulties. Area suitable for building site development. The applicants are asking to develop their lot much as neighbors have done in similar situations. We'll start with Larry this time.
I agree.
Franklin,
Yes, I agree.
Ken Vister,
I agree.
and Ken Anderson.
yeah, there are practical difficulties to complying. I agree with that.
3. The variance request is due to special conditions or circumstances unique to the property and not created by the property owner. Staff analysis says that this parcel is unique and special and that it's part of an approved residential subdivision and is comprised predominantly of slopes in excess of 25%. It is estimated that only 20% of this lot contains buildable slopes. Areas with similar steepness are present in the county but are not commonly found to comprise this percentage of area within a platted residential subdivision. The current owners did not control the platting process and likely acquired their properties with the understanding that the lots were buildable. The fact that they believe the lots to be buildable, a reasonable belief to be held, when in fact the lots do not satisfy the criteria for buildings set forth in the ordinance, created circumstances unique to these properties. Franklin,
I agree.
Ken Visker,
I agree.
Ken Anderson,
I agree with staff analysis.
Larry Haffner.
I agree.
4, that the variance cannot be alleviated by a reasonable method other than a variance, and the minimum variance which would alleviate the practical difficulty is sought. Analysis says that variances are needed to facilitate buildings on these lots, and there is no reasonable alternative means of locating structures. Ken Visker,
I agree.
Ken Anderson,
Yeah, there's no other way to do it. I guess, even, I don't
Larry Haffner,
I agree.
and Franklin.
Yes,
5, that the variance will not alter the essential character of the locality nor substantially impair property values or the public health, safety, or welfare in the vicinity. Analysis is that variances will allow the placement of structures in a manner similar to existing development in the area. Specific precautions related to slopes, erosion, and wastewater treatment are needed to ensure public health, safety, and welfare. Ken Anderson.
I'm gonna say no because I'm afraid of the road hazard. The problems that can come with that road.
Explain.
There is those septic systems are going to have to be almost on the road edge.
Oh, below the,
They're lining up, they have to go below. You can't go
right,
through the
exactly.
road.
So you're talking about the road below.
The
this
road
lot.
below is the only one I'm concerned about.
Okay, I didn't understand. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, and I guess they would have to be.
I mean, there is such a problem.
They can't be in the right of way,
Yeah,
so there's those.
there's
limited
problem
setbacks.
there. I just, public safety is my concern there.
Larry,
No,
do you have any reasoning?
okay, it's that there, well, the erosion, water treatment system, public safety, welfare, I just can't get comfortable with it.
Franklin,
so when you're talking the septic by the road, you're talking that steep one that comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how close to that, does anybody know how close that septic would be to the road?
Most located within 50 feet of the right of way.
Of that steep road, that
This
Crest
is the
Hill
one, this
Drive,
is
that
Preston
steep
Hill
one.
Road. So you're talking right up here, that road bank is coming right there. You're not much off from there.
they haven't submitted a design for it.
Yeah, but still, if something fails and all of a sudden that water runs out,
I guess I'll have both no on that one.
Can you explain yourself or?
Well, I did not realize that the sewer is gonna be that close to that hill road. Of course, we was talking about it, but last meeting, we weren't concerned about the house sliding over the hill on top of that Crest Hill Drive, and then tonight, we're really concerned about it, but if that sewer would, heaven forbid, would break loose or something, it would not be good.
Ken Visker,
I agree, and again, we're making assumptions about building sewers and none of us know anything about it, so I think we need to be careful about making assumptions on engineering and sewer building and all that sort of thing when there are restrictions in place to prevent those kinds of problems.
and number 6, that the request is not a use variance and shall not have the effect of allowing any use that is not allowed in the zoning district, permit a lower degree of flood protection than the regulatory flood protection elevation, or permit standards lower than those required by state law. Analysis is that these are area variances. There are no mapped floodplains within the subdivision, and the proposal is not known to be a foul of state law.
kind of question, just are there any state laws require protecting the bluff that you're aware of? Or is that just a local ordinance?
I believe that is where the state or where the top of bluff setbacks come in. It is more, the guidance is more for shore, comes in play more on shoreline. Franklin,
I agree.
Ken Visker,
I agree.
Ken Anderson,
I agree.
Larry,
I agree.
The next is, we had the was the number 1 and number 5 were not passed. If I have it right.
Well, we still need a motion to
So
accept.
we still have to have a motion of the vote on the findings.
I'll make a motion, we accept the findings as presented.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Franklin seconded. Any other discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carried. And I don't know if we need to do any more than that at this stage. We went through the findings and didn't accept them, enough of them. Or do we have to have some more on why, further, why we don't?
Well, I'll ask the question because I don't know. Don't we have to, I'm asking Amelia, do we have to have a motion to approve or deny? I'm asking.
I think we would have to do that because
Okay.
we do draft, an order does get recorded for this,
Okay,
and so that's dictated on that order.
Only thing, a comment I got is I said it before, we're setting ourselves up here. We approve one that's lot, and then we don't approve the next one. It's very similar. That's all I got to say.
I really dislike doing this, but like I said, there's that example with the quarry that was whatever. And I don't know, you know who Partington is? They live down by Brownsville. They had that, what, it was a 07 or what was that rain washed the whole house away.
down. Yeah, well, that's what bothers me about any of these.
And there was no insurance on that. Obviously, somebody okayed that. And like I said, there has to be a limit to how far you can, I don't know, bend it maybe isn't a good way to say it. But, next week, someone's gonna come in and they're gonna have, instead of what this was 33, maybe it'll be 40. I mean, I looked at it on Beacon, you can do the distance and the rise, and the whole thing is 33%. There's not one piece on there that is within the thing.
Yeah,
And like I said, at some point, you have to say, it's too far. That's the way it is. That's what
We need a
I
motion.
think that's our job.
motion to deny the variance is probably appropriate then.
I'll make a motion supported by our findings that we deny the request for variance.
Or a second to that.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I guess, then this would be a good time to make support your vote one way or the other if you want to.
Well, yeah, I've kind of said it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's,
Question, call the question.
Well, I guess I would like to,
No,
for
I'm
me.
asking for a vote when I say call.
Okay, yep,
How
yep.
much vote?
Ron Canvasser,
Nay.
Ed Anderson,
I'll vote yes, and I believe the total area of the lot is way too small with the slopes that there are.
yes, being denial, right?
Yes, it's denial.
Larry Havner,
Yes.
do you care to provide an explanation?
Pretty much most of the stuff I said. I mean, it's so far beyond standard, I guess, huh?
Franklin,
Yes. I wasn't in favor of building the last month because it still bothers me. So because it's not a buildable lot. I feel sorry for the people who pay taxes for 40 years or 50 years.
I agree.
I really seriously do. But I wasn't in favor of the last one, so I can't really jump from the frying pan into the fire.
Motions to deny has been approved. The other changes? Need a motion? Motion by Jenny and seconded by Larry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you guys. Thanks, Amelia.